Alright everybody, have a seat in the shop. Today's topic is really intriguing given what's going on right now. It's no secret that Lakers fans are not patient. The LA fan base does not, the LA market in general, it does not welcome patience. Especially not when you signed what was at the time the best player in the NBA. But given the current situation, do I see Lakers fans actually having a bit of buyer's remorse? Not just disappointment, not just agitation. No, I'm starting to see, man, we shouldn't have went out and got LeBron. We should have stuck to a different plan or stuck to the plan we were on. We should have done this. We should have went for this star. I'm starting to see a lot of things because they're getting nervous. A lot of us assured the Lakers a playoff spot this year. I know I did, and I believe if LeBron hadn't got injured, I believe that is that's a prediction that probably would have came true. But now with 20-something games left, they're 3 games out of 8th, which with every loss, with every day that passes, that means more and more. That it's actually more than it sounds. And so I was asked this question on the little podcast thing that I do for UCAS Studios. I actually got the question on my Instagram, would the Lakers have been better off with Paul George instead of LeBron? And that was about a week ago, and I was like, nah, you know, this is still LeBron James, of course. The Lakers were still 4th seed before the injuries and Lonzo Ball being out. They were a much better team in the first half than they are right now. A lot has happened, so we can't now look at what Paul George is doing and just automatically assume, man, they should have just, you know, they should have done everything they could have to get him or whatever, even though it seems like he was dead set on staying in OKC anyways. But I did want to say from that question, because that was at the end and I don't think I really got all my thoughts off. You know, that question has an interesting layer to it, because this whole thing, we have to admit, after everything that's happened this season, now that we're basically in March, this whole thing that's gone on with LeBron James and the Lakers has gotten really awkward. And it has gotten to the point where it's not ludicrous to at least question the fit between going and getting LeBron James and where the Lakers actually were and what they wanted to do with their future. So when it first happened, I have a video, of course, on the other channel about LeBron James signing with the Lakers, and I was completely dumbfounded at the time because I was like, this is still LeBron, this is still the best player in the NBA at that time, just got out of the NBA Finals. It hadn't been that long since he said he was chasing the ghost of Jordan, so it didn't seem consistent with everything he had said and what he was doing that he would go to a team that was definitely a couple of years away from contention and a couple of really good moves. I didn't see why he would go there and not somewhere else that was already, you know, that had a better thing going on. But he went, and after I saw some more things and heard him talk a little bit more, now he said, oh well, I'm not chasing anything that I don't already have. And he kind of just feels like his career is where it is what it is. So okay, now I'm saying, well, I understand he went to LA for his family, business deals. Basically, this is kind of sort of his farewell tour. But then at the same time as we're getting that vibe, like this is just the end of LeBron's career, he's just playing basketball in LA. At that same time, we rewind a couple of weeks ago, and the Lakers put their entire soul on the table for Anthony Davis, everything. Like they could not have offered more in the present day than they did. Of course, they could have offered their future as well, but then that would have just been that would have been a robbery. But while this is going on, LeBron is never shy about hinting at the fact that he wants Anthony Davis on that roster. While the whole team is on the trading block, his advice is that the team should just stay off social media, basically so they don't see themselves in all these deals that are going on. During the All-Star draft, he's talking about how tampering doesn't exist on All-Star weekend, which is, it's all in fun, right? It's all a lighthearted joke, but at the same time, you can kind of see the, you know, hint, wink, wink, yeah, I would love to have AD here. And then they don't get Anthony Davis, and to compound that problem, it doesn't seem that they have a good chance to get him at all. I understand that the Pelicans fired Dell Demps, so this summer if LA chooses to fire up the trade talks again, I'm assuming they'll have a bit of a different situation this time. But they offered the whole team, and the sense that I got is that it wasn't just Dell Demps that wasn't cool with that deal, it was a lot of people in the organization that didn't want that deal. So it seems like if LA does get Anthony Davis this summer, it would have to be by virtue of some 3-team deal. You know, the Pelicans would need more assets than the Lakers have or are willing to give. But by the Pelicans waiting, it also seems like they really have their eye on a guy like Jason Tatum or the #1 pick this summer. It seems like it really might not involve the Lakers. So let's assume that the Lakers have struck out on AD. We see the results of a couple of things going on with the Lakers right now. There was the injuries, of course Lonzo Ball being out hurts them, but then the trade talk no doubt affected them, and the chemistry looks garbage right now on the court. LeBron is constantly hanging his head whenever somebody misses a rotation. Kyle Kuzma is saying things like, oh, this effort isn't going to get it done. And there is no doubt in anyone's mind that these trade talks really mess with those young guys' minds. So now I'm looking at a certain portion of the LA fan base, and specifically the guys and girls who have buyer's remorse with LeBron James. Well, at this point, how wrong are they? Because you do realize that if the Lakers strike out in free agency this summer, nobody knows what the hell LeBron is doing in LA after this. If they don't get somebody, if they don't finesse Klay Thompson, if they don't entice DeMarcus Cousins, if they don't get someone this summer to make this whole LeBron James venture to work out, because it was a short-term thing. That's where this gets confusing, right? That's why I'm looking at it now, and that's where I see the buyer's remorse coming from. Is because the Lakers were a team with a young core. They won, what, 35 games last year? People were looking for their improvement, and with that young core, you then sign a player who is on the backside of his career. He signed in ink with the Lakers for 3 years. That 4th year is an option where I think a lot of people would not be surprised if he went and retired in Cleveland. So as far as you know, you've given yourself 3 years to win a championship with LeBron James or maximize your time with him. Through those 3 years, you don't know how good he is every year, because this year you saw that he missed a whole month with the groin injury. That's the first time we've ever seen something like that with LeBron. We know Father Time is undefeated, so the decline can be any time now. He's already not playing any defense. So on one hand, you have the LeBron James that came there and later on through the season said he's good, he's not chasing anything he doesn't already have. But then you have management that also tried to send the whole team off for AD so that they could go ahead and start building and contending within that 3-year window. Thing is, I'd imagine they have struck out on Anthony Davis, at least for now, right? At least until next summer, which is the 2020 summer, where LeBron will be an entire another year older. And I also believe that if AD is traded to a winning situation, he will not leave to go to LA. I don't think so. I think it'll be the same thing that happened with Paul George. So then at that point, LeBron James in LA, it's already looking like an awkward fit. And I'm not talking about awkward fit in terms of playstyle, because they were fine at the beginning of this year before trade rumors and before injuries. They were fine back then. I'm talking about awkward fit in terms of, okay, what are we doing here? Where are we going for the future? If they strike out this summer, I think you're going to see that buyer's remorse group in LA grow even larger, because then they're going to feel like, man, we really should have gotten somebody like Paul George who has a lot more years left, who can actually grow with this core. Because LeBron James is not growing with this core, he's growing towards retirement. And so also, this is where you have to think about like the nuances of being a general manager and the little tiny things you have to look at in the future, right? Because I get it, they signed LeBron James, they got the best player in the NBA last summer, but aside from having put him, going towards the end of his career with this young core, you might also start thinking about if nothing good happens this summer, well, what was the plan here? Because as far as we know, Golden State could keep most of that team together if they so choose. They can at minimum keep Draymond, KD, Klay, Steph, at least until the end of next year. That will be where LeBron will have played 2 of his 3 actual signed years for the LA Lakers. So that's where you look at a little thing like, well, what was the plan of getting this team from where it was this summer when you got LeBron James with this young core? Where was the plan of getting them from there to beating a team like the Golden State Warriors within this 2-3 year span? What was the plan there? To me, it looks like the only plan that could have possibly worked would to be have LeBron James, get Anthony Davis, and not in the 2020 summer, because that's another year off of LeBron's career, get him this summer or, before, like in the trade deadline. So then in the market of LA, you have LeBron and AD, and now of course a third star this summer in this stacked free agency class probably wants to go there. And then that's how you compete with the Warriors in a short time, and that does not involve this young core at all. Because we all hope and pray that something happens and Kevin Durant leaves Golden State, but as a GM, you can't really plan for that unless you know something everybody else doesn't know. You can't plan for Golden State being gone. You have to plan for what's there and what looks like it's going to be there for the next few years. So in that case, having LeBron James on this team only made sense if you were going to be able to pull that off all by the time free agency hits this summer, or by the time it ends this summer. After that, man, the shit just looks weird. And I think, like I said earlier, LA fans are going to be wishing, you know, it's cool. Yeah, they got LeBron. They got the best player in the NBA, or at least he was this summer. But again, you're looking at your future. You're looking at this core that's been building over this last few years. You're looking at the fact that for this to have made sense for the next few years, you probably would have needed to dump all of them. So if you're just looking at it straight up, right? If you're looking at, would you rather have, and we're assuming health, right? We're assuming LeBron doesn't have this groin injury. At the beginning of the year, straight up, if you're saying, would you rather have had LeBron James or Paul George? People are still going to say LeBron James. But when you start thinking about the only way that LeBron James in LA makes any sense, now you're saying, damn, Paul George is 28 years old, and you can see he's really right in the prime of his career. He's reached that MVP level. Maybe that might have been the guy going forward because we have a young core and because of the direction this team had been going for the last few years. Maybe that's the guy that made more sense for the future, because I don't understand what the future is right now with LeBron and the Lakers. If it's just going to be this thing where it's him and this young core for like the next 2 or 3 years and they don't get anybody. So this is going to be a very, very big summer for the Lakers, and they should be nervous, because all I'm saying is, if you come into next season and it's still just LeBron James, Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, and some new support pieces, what are we doing here? That goes back to the awkwardness that I'm talking about, because no matter what LeBron says, you can clearly see by the actions that LA was taking. If you get LeBron on your team, it's a win now type thing. It's not a build for the future type thing. It's a win now situation. So you've got a win now cornerstone for the next 2 years with a young core that is going to be developing to play for many more years after that. Those are two diverging situations that they'll have after this summer with no clear identity of what they're actually doing with it. Okay, we have LeBron James with this young core, but we're obviously not going to win a championship this way. So we got to get this young core shipped off for somebody to help LeBron James win a title now. Or we build this young core and we build around them so they can take us into the future. But that doesn't make sense while you have LeBron James. So that's where LA fan buyer remorse is coming from. That's where it will come from if they strike out this summer. I get the whole strategy that last summer was, you know, get LeBron and worry about the rest later. But later is coming soon, and the Lakers have a lot to do to make any kind of sense of this situation going forward as a franchise for years to come.